and welcome to a new video. Today we're doing a collection update for January 2021. It is already gone, guys. January's already left us into February now. Gone so quick. This is basically everything I picked up in January, a little bit spilling from December, and like I say in previous videos, basically this is a collection of stuff that I've wanted to upgrade on 4K, things I wanted the new editions for, or some things that I kind of picked up on blind buys to watch. Mainly Hong Kong movies in a sense, and see if I like them, and if I enjoy them a lot, I'll keep them. If I don't, or think I don't need to watch anytime soon, or it wasn't anything like massively strong to own, I will sell them on and, you know, replace it to something else. So some of this stuff here, even though I've got it in the video, I might not keep a week from now or by the time I get to the next collection update. So it's always a constant rinse and repeat cycle with some of these kind of Hong Kong movies or Pacific movies that I do pick. And that's a good way of doing it. That's something I think has worked quite well. So let's check out the collection for January 2021. So let's start with a significant pile of the Hong Kong and foreign cinema pile. That's right, the little mini pile there of films I picked up. It always seems to be a kind of a main kind of talking point and a kind of interest point for a lot of people on my channel that obviously follow my videos I do for Hong Kong cinema. So let's dive into the ones I picked up. First we have is the Throwdown Eureka edition with the limited edition slipcase and the booklet inside. Never seen this film before. I know Hong Kong cinema has talked about it in his channel, and I've seen some reviews and they're meant to be really, really good. He's definitely quite a well-established director. There's a film I really want to check out of his called The Mad Detective, which also is Eureka release, but it's kind of out of print. It's kind of, you know, vanished practically now. It's very hard to get. But this I really want to check out. Another martial arts film, meant to be more of a drama though, meant to be more of a visual kind of piece kind of thing. But very interested. Know nothing about it. I've seen the trailer and that's about it. Meant to be a really good film, good director, good martial arts fight. Very excited to check this one out, and if I like it enough, I'll definitely be doing a review and give you some updates on how I feel about it. But yeah, this is a great edition. Got this second-hand CX, which is a kind of second-hand store in the UK. Very surprised I got the slipcase and the booklet with it as well. So yeah, I'm very excited to check this one out. The Throwdown on Eureka edition Blu-ray. Next up is Hero, the Jet Li martial arts extraordinaire, mainstream kind of film, big, massive film that Quentin Tarantino presented. I've never seen this one before, I don't know anything about it. I know it's got Jet Li and Donnie Yen, and you've instantly sold me right there. I am down for the count. And you've also got Maggie from the Police Story movies as well, which I am very excited to check this film out for sure. This is part of the recent re-release editions from Paramount in the UK recently. Paramount have been re-releasing all their movies practically, but they're very specific ones that have gone out of print, that have basically been so discontinued in a weird way, and they're going for a lot of money. So getting this from the previous version is going for crazy money on like eBay and various second-hand stores kind of thing, and they basically re-released all their films with the new certification logos and basically just the same kind of artwork, but with a slightly different change on the disc, more of a clear disc now than it once was. Which is great, good for me, for someone who actually wanted to get a hold of this film, who couldn't before because obviously being out of print, and checking out some of the other kind of libraries that I get access to now, that it's a bit more of a easy access in that sense. Yeah, Hero, I'm very excited to check this one out. Next up we have is Jet Li, the Legend. This is another film I have not seen from Jet Li's kind of lineup. We're going through his kind of IMDb list recently, and kind of checking out some of his films I've never seen. Fist of Legends, kind of Unleashed, Fearless, Hero, some of these ones I've been picking up recently, kind of checking out for the first time. Jet Li is a fantastic kind of presence on screen when he's given a really good solid role, a really good martial arts role, really good character role. He really succeeds in it in that sense, and I really enjoy watching these movies, these Hong Kong movies recently kind of thing. And this one I've heard of and decided to pick it up. It was £6 brand new and sealed. Good price, and of course definitive Jet Li kind of trilogy. It is the Once Upon a Time in China series. This is the recent re-release from Eureka, which features the trilogy and the fourth movie, Once Upon a Time in China and America, which is kind of Jet Li's kind of return to the series after 4 and 5, which technically is the fourth one of the set, but technically is the sixth one in a weird way, so it's a bit weird kind of thing. I'm actually quite curious to check out 4 and 5 if they ever get released properly kind of things. I heard they're actually quite decent films. They're quite different from the base trilogy, and it's got pirates, and it's got some of the cast members from the other movies who turn back into it, and I think it's the same director as well. So I'm very curious to see those films and see if they actually add anything to the kind of the saga in that sense. But in terms of just Jet Li awesomeness, Once Upon a Time in China series is very good. It's very fun. Definitely a franchise I've returned back to. When I first watched it, it was kind of like a bit of a whiplash, going from kind of a lot of Jackie Chan films, a lot of really good 80s, kind of really over the top kind of eccentric martial arts films, to a very strong period kind of martial arts film, very heavy in its subject matter, very strong with its kind of its subjects, what it's trying to say, what it's trying to dive into in terms of Western culture versus the kind of Hong Kong culture, and it's very interesting. It was very, I think it's something that needs to be watched more than once. I think it needs to be kind of revisited, and but since then, even though my initial kind of first impressions of the films, which I did really like, I just at the time it was quite shocking, you know, to the system in that sense. I didn't know how to kind of compute it. It's been on my mind. It's been circling around it with the music, the performances, Jet Li, and something I really wanted to kind of revisit once again and kind of check out and watch again. And fantastically, I did with watching the recent Iron Monkey, which I did a review for. But yeah, this is a great set. It's a re-release edition, which is a nice little thin edition. It's got a nice slipcase, and you can see there. This is practically identical to the limited edition set that came out a little while ago. Practically the exact same thing, all 4 discs, the exact same discs, all the extras. The only thing you're missing is the individual kind of single kind of cases and the booklet. That's it. And speaking of Once Upon a Time in China, we have is the somewhat prequel. We have this Iron Monkey. I expressed my thoughts and opinions on this film already on my review. Absolutely phenomenal film, really outrageous, really crazy film. Fantastic fighting, great performances from Donnie Yen and the actor who plays Iron Monkey. A really surprising film. As I mentioned already in the start of the video, when I do blind buys, this is the one that I had no expectation for. I just heard it was good, so I thought, let's give it a check it out. Let's see what I think. Didn't see the trailer, didn't know anything about it, and absolutely love it. This probably was one of my favourite Hong Kong movies now in my collection. Next up, we have is JSA Joint Security Area. This is the limited edition Arrow version on Blu-ray. First time ever being released on the Blu-ray in the UK. I think it's also got released in the US as well from the same edition. Features exclusive artwork in the limited slipcase. Lots of packed full of extras, and the first time ever to be released in the Blu-ray in the UK. I don't think I ever got a DVD release in the UK either, so this is a very good edition to get, very more easier access, more hands-on to get this film. Great film from the director of Old Boy and The Handmaid and all that stuff. But I think it's his first film he ever did. Brilliant film, great military drama. Next up is a film I don't believe I've shown on the previous video I did, but I'll double check to make sure. It is Taxi Driver, another Korean foreign movie. Brilliant film. This is from the Well-Go USA Entertainment. This is a Region 3 Blu-ray. Brilliant film. If you've not seen this film, go and check it out. It's a really good emotional drama. It's a good based off true story that was going on. I think during kind of the 80s at the time, this is basically kind of like a military sort of takeover from a small village, and they were kind of quarantining this little small town, and they were cutting off communication. They were basically taking over, and the idea was to kind of go block by block, city by city, and take over the kind of, you know, dictatorship over kind of the land in that sense. And this is a very good, interesting, based off true story of a taxi driver that gets sent to that town with a German reporter who is there to report, who's going to report back to the world and kind of shed light on what's going on. And it's a very interesting kind of tale of kind of courage and kind of sacrifice and realization and kind of perspective in that sense. And it's a really good emotional journey. I won't say too much about what actually happens, but fantastic performance, great cast, really well made, really hits home, and a little bit violent in places as well. Just a brilliant all-round film that really got me there kind of thing, and it's a film I really need to own and really need to watch again. Next up is 2 games I picked up in January. We have is Mortal Shell and Hitman 3 on the PlayStation 5. I'll start with Hitman first. Hitman, I'm a huge fan of. I love Hitman series, all the way from kind of Silent Assassin, Contracts, Blood Money, Absolution, all the way to this kind of concluding chapter of the Word of Assassination trilogy. If you like stealth games, if you like games where they kind of throw you into a sandbox kind of mission and say go do what you want, you know, take out the targets in any way you can in terms of accidentals, in terms of just straight up shooting them, in terms of poisoning them. It basically gets you creative. It gets you kind of thinking in terms of how you want to take out your targets. It gives you that experience of being a hitman and being that kind of character in this kind of over-the-top eccentric kind of world. Agent 47 is hilarious. He's kind of dark humor. His kind of dialogue he says is really funny. I love the setup. I love the maps. This edition is the concluding one of the main trilogy, and the other game is Mortal Shell, a game that I was very curious about. I wanted to pick up a physical copy just in case I wasn't sure if it clicked to me or not. This is basically meant to be another version of Dark Souls, but a bit more of a kind of beginner's version of Dark Souls, I guess, in that sense, which would be good for me, for someone who wants to kind of get into those kind of games. I've heard it's got a good, pretty decent story. It's got good combat. I love the idea of being this kind of like, you know, husk of a shell, and you kind of jump into kind of different kind of warriors in terms of the maps, and you kind of use these different kind of skins in that sense. Check this game out. I'll be playing it soon, hopefully. The physical edition is pretty cool because you get a nice little poster, you get a booklet as well, which is quite rare. And the good thing is, if I don't really like it, if it doesn't click with me, I can always sell it on and put it towards something else. So yeah, Mortal Shell. Have you played this game? Please comment down below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and opinions are. Mortal Shell. I'm curious to check this one out, guys. Next up we have is Dawn of the Dead. This is the 2004 remake from Zack Snyder. This is the Screen Factory version, the 2-disc set. This is a replacement from my old Universal Blu-ray, which is way out of date, which is a very old early Blu-ray. Best to get a brand new 4K transfer version of the film, which features the theatrical and unrated version, and packed with full of brand new extras as well from kind of James Gunn, who did the screenplay for the film, and some kind of new kind of behind the scenes and some new interviews of some of the cast members. A really good addition with a limited edition slipcase, which I'm very happy about, which features the original artwork there, which is cool. I really like the remake a lot. I think it's really underrated. I think people that already kind of shut on it because, one, they don't like Zack Snyder, or two, they prefer the original. Next up we have is a brand new release. We have is Syntronic from the USA import. This is from Well Go USA, so this is a region 3 set. So if you're interested in the UK people who haven't watched this film, want access to it, it is available for rent, and you can pick up the US Blu-ray, which is the only Blu-ray available at this current moment. Yeah, I really like this film. This is from the directors of The Endless, Resolution, Spring. Really good directors, really good indie directors. They do some really interesting kind of concept stories, dramas around kind of sci-fi, kind of horror, and they do a really good job of kind of exploring their ideas and their films and really living out an impression compared to most kind of other kind of low-budget movies. They recently get an opportunity with Syntronic with some more A-listers with slightly bigger budget, and they're also tasked to do the kind of new Moon Knight series for Marvel on the Disney Plus series, which is very exciting and really well earned in terms of their kind of career and where they started and where they ended up. Syntronic is not for everyone. This is probably technically their weakest film in that sense of the kind of what came before it, but I do really like this. I think it's a very simplistic. I think it's really well, it's very satisfying when the performance is really good. I like the concept quite a lot. It does link into the kind of Resolution, Endless kind of trilogy in that weird way with some connections there. But performance is really good, the concept's really strong, delivers exactly what is on the tin. Go and check it out, see what you think, guys. Next up we have is Maniac, and we have is The Big Short. This is a really funny film, good Wall Street, based off a true story about the Wall Street crash, I think back in 2008, 2007. Really well done film, all-star cast from kind of Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, just a really all-star cast, Margot Robbie. Everyone's in this film, is really well done. Just a really good insight, comedic type of mockumentary, but also based off a true story, giving you kind of that insight into what actually happened in terms of Wall Street, in terms of the bankers, in terms of people that knew that the economy was going to crash and people profited money from this. It's very interesting, it's very funny, it's well done, and it gives you good insight into kind of, you know, potentially don't fall for kind of these kind of traps or these kind of mortgages or these kind of loan systems kind of thing. And it's just a very well done film. And the other film is Maniac, the remake of the kind of 1970s kind of film, which is by the same name. Elijah Wood has done a lot of horror movies ever since he did the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I haven't seen this film since it came out originally back in, what, in 2005, maybe 2006. It came out during that time. I remember really liking it. I remember thinking it was really strange and weird and very violent and very kind of arty in that sense, in terms of the kind of the idea of showing his kind of mind and how he kind of perceives things and the way he's doing the things he is. And I love the perspective of the third, kind of showing the character and going for first person, and how he kind of is kind of stalking his prey in that sense. It's a very interesting, very heavy psychological film, very disturbing in terms of its kind of themes and its ideas of this kind of sick character that's just basically breaking down and killing people. I remember this being a pretty solid remake, a pretty well done film. Elijah Wood is just a really good performance in this film, so I really want to check it out. I like the director a lot as well. So yeah, this is a kind of a rare Blu-ray to get. Also in the UK, for some reason, this is also out of print. It's very hard to get, very expensive. We managed to get this for second hand on CX, the UK store, which we got for about £5-6, which is a pretty good deal considering at the moment that everywhere else, like Amazon, eBay, is going between 10 and 20 quid. Really strange, but yeah, Maniac, the remake, horror film. Look forward to checking this one out, guys, and seeing what. Next up, we have is two more Paramount re-releases. We have is Copland and the Scary Movie Trilogy. Let's talk about the Scary Movie Trilogy. These are just good dumb fun, really just dumb fun. Basically, this was the kind of last three decent kind of parody movies. As you remember, back in the kind of 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there were so many parody movies. There was unbelievable, so many in terms of, like, you know, Date Night and kind of a lot of it was like We Are Spartans. And there's so many parody spoof movies during the kind of early 2000s, but this is the 3 actual decent ones. I remember growing up with these movies. I remember really liking them. I remember finding them really funny. The cast always came back and they always kind of played different characters, and the movies that kind of taking the piss out of and spoofing were movies that I actually really liked and really enjoyed, and it was nice to kind of see a version of that kind of movie done in a kind of taking the piss kind of format. But they also had a cohesive story, also had good jokes, and these 3 still hold up really well. They're still really funny. They still make me laugh a lot. The silly, the goofy, the guilty pleasures, but they're really well done. And the other Paramount release is Copland, a film that I have not seen since I was a kid. I remember when I first watched this, I didn't like it, mainly because I didn't really get it. I'm curious to see what my thoughts and opinions are now. I haven't seen this film in like, what, 5-10 years in that sense. It's been a long time since I watched it. This is from the director of Logan and the Wolverine and Ford vs Ferrari, so this is one of his first movies. Meant to be one of Stallone's best performances, meant to be a really good intense thriller, meant to have a good payoff at the end. I can't remember anything about this film. I'm curious to check it out, see what I think, and see if it's something worth owning and worth talking about. We have some 4K upgrades now. We have is the Invisible Man and Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. So yeah, Invisible Man, I really wanted to get the kind of 4K transfer because it's meant to be a very superior version compared to the Blu-ray. Basically, I sold my version, the old Blu-ray, managed to get about £10 for it, and managed to get this for practically nothing. These 2 were in a 2 for £20 sale on Zavi.com, which I thought was a really good price, considering I sold my old versions on the Blu-rays and managed to get practically like £5-10 knocked off, so it didn't cost me too much to go upgrade these. Next up we have is 2 very weird films. We have is the Criterion version of Eraserhead, David Lynch movie, and The Butterfly Effect, the US import director's cut. I'll talk about Eraserhead first. This is a really fucked up film. I've never seen Eraserhead before. I'm a huge David Lynch fan. I love Twin Peaks. I love Mulholland Drive, Elephant Man, Lost Highway. I love all his films. I love David Lynch as a person, as a character, as a concept. I love his artwork, I love his kind of music and the things he does, and everything he practically touches is very interesting. I don't like everything he does. There's probably some aspects to some films I think is better than others in that sense. I think it goes a bit too far sometimes. But Eraserhead was a very curious one to check out, being his very first film, being a student film. The film took him like 6-7 years to make in that sense. This is a really messed up film. This is not for everybody. I can't really describe it. I'll just say this is like basically watching a nightmare. If you want to watch a nightmare for 2 hours, like 2 in the morning, then yeah, and not sleep for a while after, then yeah, this is the film for you. So it has a really nice beefy booklet inside, really goes into the kind of making of the process of films. Lots of packed full of extras, talking about the kind of the cast and crew, the legacy of this film, kind of what people were saying, how he went about filming it. It also has a very extensive amount of his kind of short films, a lot of the films he did in between making it, which are very interesting, but that by itself is worth the price of admission, on top of a fantastic film, a really disturbing film, packed full of extras, packed with loads of his short films, which are really good to see. And the other one is the Butterfly Effect Director's Cut US import. This is the Blu-ray kind of upgrade for my DVD. I haven't seen this film in a while, so if I was going to watch it again, I figured I may as well get the Blu-ray. But again, once again, it's very hard to get. I had to get the US import. Someone in the UK was selling it for basically nothing. This is very hard to get in general for the UK release and the US release. So again, if I don't like it, cool, I can make my profit back, I can make my money back in that sense. But I remember Butterfly Effect being a really, really good film. I remember really liking it. It's a very bleak, very dark film. It's not a happy film in the slightest, but it's a very unique, interesting concept about time travel, about trauma, about trying to fix mistakes that you can't fix. Fixing those mistakes might lead to other mistakes in that sense, other kind of, it's Butterfly Effect. You step on a butterfly, it's going to change the timeline, it's going to change the way things go, and this is a very interesting film that deals with a character that is just trying to fix a mistake that happened. So we have this Fire in the Sky and Death Becomes a... I've talked about this film a lot in 2 separate videos, you know my thoughts and opinions. This is a great Blu-ray edition, packed full of extras. Go and check out the previous videos to have a bit more insight into this edition. Death Becomes a is an early Valentine's gift for my girlfriend, which is great because I love this film. It's so funny, it's so well done. Bruce Willis is absolutely hilarious in this film. I love Goldie Hawn. I love Meryl Streep. I think they're really funny. The concept's wacky. Great supporting cast. Just a really dark comedy film that packs full of surprising horror elements, gothic elements, and it's just wacky. It's funny. It's insane. Just a good, really, really funny film. I think everyone should see this film. I think everyone should check this film out at least once in their life. Next two we have is Prometheus on 4K transfer upgrade, and we have is The House of Haunted Hill. So basically Prometheus is the prequel to Alien. I really like this film. I think this film is pretty solid. It's got its problems, it's got some faults to it, but the performances, the visuals, the music, the ideas, I think it's really well done as a film that I keep coming back to over and over. I really like Prometheus a lot personally. I don't like Alien Covenant, which is the crappy attempt of ignoring the sequel and trying to do a shoehorn version of an alien in there. It doesn't work, it's terrible, it kind of completely misses the opportunity they had to do a really interesting trilogy to kind of follow this idea. But I can still get enjoyment out of this film. The way this film ends, even though I know the outcome of the characters and the kind of the aftermath, I can still get this film and just see for what it is, enjoy it, and it ends on a kind of question mark ending anyway, that I can just leave it as a one-off and not have to worry too much about anything afterwards. And the other film is The House on the Haunted Hill. This is the Scream Factory version, which is basically an upgrade from my DVD, which I rewatched not too long back. And I really enjoyed it. I actually think it holds up pretty well. It's a very early 2000s corny horror film that's, I wouldn't say it's bad, I'd just say it's really fun. It's a really fun film. It's the performances, the twists and turns, the kind of the remake nature of the original. I think it definitely delivers on what it sets out to do, and I think the kind of the weird kind of 2000s early kind of editing, hyperactive kind of music editing is kind of gives it a little bit of a charm to it. It's a film I remember always really liking when I was younger. It still holds up on the DVD, and I got the Blu-ray to kind of get that true new transfer and all the extras. And last but not least, we have is Apocalypse Now, the 4K deluxe version, or US import. This and the House of the Haunted Hill got about 20% off together, doing a kind of an import kind of a buy from eBay, from allyourmusic.com, which does some really good deals on kind of US imports and some exclusive kind of offers, which is really good for me, for someone who after these editions, they're usually quite expensive. This is the exact same price to get this as it was to get the UK version, which the UK version is quite lacking in that sense, because it only features the final cut on 4K and just a standard version Blu-ray of the kind of the Redux and the final cut on the other Blu-ray edition itself. This version features all of it, which is fantastic, which features not only the final cut on Blu-ray 4K, which also features the theatrical Redux on 4K as well, which is great, and all the extras and all the Blu-ray versions from the previous set. So this is a definitive kind of version, all-star kind of version, which is great for me personally, which is great. So I'm really looking forward to checking out the kind of the final cut and seeing my thoughts and opinions on that version compared to the Redux. Apocalypse Now is probably labelled as the best kind of war movie ever made, and that's pretty accurate in that sense. It's a very heavy journey into madness, into darkness. It's a very heavy character study about Vietnam, about the nature of it, about the approach to it, how people are dealing with it, and there's a really strong cast of characters, a fantastic, insane kind of 3 to 4 hour journey depending on which version you watched. Incredible film. The 4K version definitely is a massive step up from the Blu-ray version, which is already pretty good at the time anyway, and I really wanted to get the kind of definitive version anyway, and to have the options to which version I want to own and which version I want to see on 4K. I do still own the other UK version, which is very good as well, which is very nice and slick, which features a kind of exclusive kind of like, you know, booklets and kind of fold out stuff. So yeah, you get a nice little booklet there, you get some art cards, and you get a really heavy, extensive kind of this little booklet, which is very nice and sexy. I love it, it's great, and it kind of folds out there as well. So that's the kind of the other deluxe version on Blu-ray in the UK. I'm keeping this on top of the kind of the 4K version because they just look really nice together on the shelf. So yeah, this is one of the rare example of having a double dip. So there you go, guys. It's been my collection update for January 2021. I hope you enjoy watching this video. What your thoughts and opinions on the things I picked up, what things you've been picking up, guys, recently, let me know. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Amphlett Reviews, signing out.